I somehow managed to find myself roped back into the Sonic fandom. And for months I've been seeing the same kind of comments all over the internet, of people going, how did Generations get a remaster when Adventure 2 needs one more? Which naturally results in some other guy going, text me the name of your dealer, because you must be smoking meth if you think it deserves one before Furries and Spagonia. And the thread keeps going and going, listing every other Sonic game, except Lost World. Funnily enough, no one wants to see that game make a comeback. But I barely see anybody talking about Sonic Riders. And that ends today. I'm sick of this game not getting the respect it deserves. As usual, I'm going to recap the story first, but I'll leave the review portion of the video timestamp below. Probably. Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles are searching for the Chaos Emeralds again. With at least a dozen games before this, you would think they'd learn to keep them secure instead of going on a wild goose chase every other week, with whatever new group that's trying to steal them for personal gain. Case in point, the Babylon Rogues, Jet, Wave, and Storm. You would assume that the fastest thing alive would just run up and yank the emerald away, but where's the fun in that? We kick Storm into oncoming traffic and steal his board to catch up to Jet, who defies the laws of physics to escape. The next day, Eggman announces the X-World Grand Prix, with the illustrious prize of hold on, is that freaking Jet? I don't care about the reward. I'm about to use that board of his to serve him up like Thanksgiving dinner. Mark my words. However, this was all planned by Eggman. He told the Rogues that the key to finding their homeland, Babylon, was the Chaos Emeralds, which just so happened to be the prize for the tournament. Before the second race, Wave comes over to trash talk Tails' work, ensuring Jet's victory by not so stealthily sabotaging Sonic's board. Seriously, how is no one bringing up the bright red bomb? It's facing 3 of them! Before the third race, Storm and Knuckles run into each other, and decide, screw the boards, and throw hands in the middle of the egg factory, even managing to fight mid-race, slaughtering any egg bot that dares step in the way. With 3 races down, Jet decides to start playing mind games, saying that someone like Sonic could never ride as fast as Jet because he's genetically superior, and Sonic should just go back to Green Hill Zone where he belongs, just amplifying the stakes ahead of the finals. Jet racing to find his ancestors' homeland, and Sonic for his people. It's a neck-and-neck race with Sonic barely managing to get the lead, exploding due to the bomb that's been on his board for over a week. Tails must suck at maintenance. One of these days the tornado's gonna malfunction and crash. Preferably in Spagonia. Screw those Spagonians. Jet wins the X-World Grand Prix and gets the Chaos Emeralds, using them to summon the ancient civilization of Babylon. Eggman uses this opportunity to try and steal the sacred Babylonian treasure. We follow them to Babylon, where Tails gives us a new board. Wow, thanks old buddy old pal, that would have been perfect 10 minutes ago. This new board gives us the advantage to definitively beat Jet once and for all.
Even without wings, I can still fly!
How about next time I throw you off the side of Babylon and see what those wings of yours can really do? Freaking jackass. The man who casually builds ever increasingly intricate robots and multiple space stations can't figure out how to work a door. So we retrieve the cube and give it to the freshly demoralized Jet, who opens up the treasure room, angering an ancient Babylonian ghost. Upon its defeat, we get to lay our eyes on the sacred treasure, a flying carpet. First the genie, now the carpet. Who the hell was Jet related to? Aladdin? Questionable ancestry aside, Jet vows to return as Sonic makes his way to Soliana to go romance a princess. Sonic Riders is the oldest game I have memory of buying. I walked into a GameStop with my brother and they were having some kind of sales, and he let me pick one game to get. And so I'm standing there just stunned at this mountain of choices in front of me, until I looked down and there it was staring me in the face. I took it home and refused to put it down. Despite rarely making it into the top 3, I kept coming back. Not because it had a life-changing story, or groundbreaking mechanics, but because it's Sonic with hoverboards. The only thing that would have made that whole experience better when I was a kid was if Bruno from Bakugan was cuddled up to me on one side while I had an endless bag of hot Cheetos on the other. But back to the topic at hand. How does Sonic Riders fare today? Well, for starters, the races feel more rewarding than other racing games. It may just be me still not being very good at the game, but in the Grand Prix mode it took me a couple tries to get first all 5 races. And when I did, it felt earned. I was barely scraping by with some of these, compared to other games like Need for Speed, where you could fly into the same wall at top speed all 3 laps, and still make it to the finish line with a huge gap. Normally with my videos, after I get the footage I need, I delete the game. Yet with Riders, I poured more hours off camera than I did on. The missions are where I spent most of my time. They really test your knowledge on the maps and your skill. I still haven't finished them all, but they're so satisfying to complete, especially with time trials. You have to play perfectly down to the milliseconds to get gold, which sounds like a pain, but the maps are really well designed. It's actually kind of fun learning their individual secrets. The Egg Factory has a secret passage. Some of the maps like Night City have sharp turns that give you a speed boost if you grind the arrow. Different shortcuts can be used depending on if you long jump, high jump, or boost off slipstream in the right place. I enjoyed relearning the maps, until I reached the one exception. The one that had me on the verge of slashing my monitor with a sword I keep next to my setup. Babylon Garden. It is the bane of my existence. I went in expecting to breeze through this game, have a nice couple hours of fun, and that's what it was until I made it to this godforsaken place, and kept messing up this one turn every single time. And this wasn't a few rounds and I got it. I have over an hour's worth of footage of me losing this race simply because I couldn't do the turn. If I die and go to hell, it would be me attempting and failing this turn for all eternity. But the aesthetic behind it is great, like with the other maps. They could have just recreated classic Sonic areas into the maps, but they chose to create new areas from scratch, giving the game its own unique feel. This is personal preference, but I enjoy it when spin-offs have more depth to them beyond being a cash grab, which is why I prefer Riders over a game like Sonic All-Star Racing. Sega could have just dropped the game inside Sonic with hoverboards, no elaboration, and the game would have sold well, i.e. Sonic All-Star Racing. But there's more substance here. Get Sonic entering the tournament because he wants to beat Jet on pure racing ability alone. The opening story cutscene shows he could catch up with him without a board, but it's about beating him on an equal playing field. Same thing with Tails and Wave, it's a battle of intellect / engineering ability. Or Knuckles and Storm, battles of fists. That extra layer of story lands this game in the higher echelon of Sonic games for me. Plus, it happens to have my favorite intro in the series, which is kind of an ironic thing for me to say now, because I hated it as a kid. Because my brother told me Sega didn't have the budget to finish the opening, which is why it looked unfinished, and then I started crying because I thought Sega was on the verge of bankruptcy, and I believed that lying bastard for a decade and a half. Now that I see that it was an artistic choice, I think this art style needs to make a comeback. Whether it be in a new Sonic game, or if any one of you out there can draw in this style, be my guest. Tag me on Instagram, I should probably start promoting that too. But back to why I even made this video. I think Sonic Riders deserves to make a comeback in some way, whether it be a new game, or a remaster with online play. I just want to see one of my favorite Sonic games be talked about. Now, if you'll excuse me, as I'm recording this, it's almost 6 in the morning, and I plan on getting some early morning hating done, so subscribe or don't. Either way, I'm gonna head out later.